Welcome to another episode of Otaku Don. I am the host with the most, Sleepy Melbourne in the building, and we're here to talk about Monsters, the one shot that got an episode on Netflix. And unfortunately, it is only one episode. I would have loved for it to be extended, maybe 3 episodes, just three. I'm not asking for a whole lot, but I get it. One shot, one episode, in and out real quick. But damn, did it make me feel like we could definitely get an anime about Ryuma, and I would be right there watching it. Right there watching it. Like, we'll get to some of the other things that they talk about at the end. But anyway, we're here, like I said, talk about monsters. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share, do all of the things. And let's get into it. So, part one, we get Ryuma in town trying to get him some free food. First attempt does not go so well. Very Luffy-like, gets kicked out of a tavern. Talking about, no, you can't eat here for free. So we got our boy staring in the window, begging for some food. And by begging, I mean just staring at everybody in there, stomach growling so loud that you can hear it inside of the restaurant. So that's when we get introduced into our other two main characters for the first part of the story, Flare and Shirano. Flare is either, I guess, a bar worker, because she doesn't really seem like she owns the establishment. So I'll call her a bar worker that lets Ryuma come in and gives him some food. And by some food, I mean like a table full of food. He has a Luffy-style feast. Which is weird. Because, madam, if you don't own this place, how you giving away all this food? But anyway, very kind of her. And then we meet Shirano. Now, there's going to be some more about Shirano. But as Shirano's getting ready to leave and Ryuma's sitting down chowing, he bumps into Ryuma's scabbard with his scabbard. This is when Ryuma hops up and declares that two scabbards crossing means that there is a duel that has been announced and challenged. And he is ready to stand on business. After a brief exchange, Shirano declares himself the victor, which Ryuma doesn't really agree with because he's like, nah, fights are to the death. But Flare is like, you got to chill out. So he calms down and he goes sits over by the bar. This is when he gets a little backstory rendition from the barkeeper about Flare and Shirano's history and how he's the one that rescued her from her village that was attacked by a dragon, and he saved her life. We'll have more on that story a little bit later. But after he gets the story, he gets ready to leave the tavern, and we get into the second part of the story where we have a new character who is introduced. Some chubby... And it's not really a mullet. He has like hair on the top of his head, but it's like shaved in the back, but it kind of looks like it's a helmet, but it's not a helmet. It's his head. It's just like raised a little bit. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with his hair. But anyway, on his face is a D and an R tattooed. But his name's not given. He bumps scabbards with Ryuma, and we already know what's going down. Ryuma standing on business. It's time to fight. But for some reason, Buddy stabs himself and then blames Ryuma. Talking about, oh, you stabbed me. You won't ever take the dragon's horn from me, and pulls it out and blows it. You mean the dragon's horn that we just learned about in part one, where we learned about Flare's past and that being stolen? Where have you been for the last decade, sir? But, okay. Now, the villagers start to tripping. They saw the dude with the DNR on his face blow the horn. But instead of blowing down on him since he slips away, they immediately turn on Ryuma and being like, this is your fault. Even to the point where Flare's like, I would have never helped you. You're a murderer. Madam, I didn't blow the horn. I did none of this. I didn't stab Buddy. I didn't blow the horn. He stabbed himself and blew the horn. And now y'all are mad at me. When I challenged the other dude, did I just randomly stab him? No, I wanted a fair fight. You see how I operate. But whatever. You got it, madam. So, as they're blaming Ryuma, Shirano is like, everyone, y'all got to get out of here. I'll do my best to save the village and protect all of your guys' stuff, and you guys protect your lives. And so the villagers leave and abandon their village, which takes us to part 3, where Shirano is just inside the village chilling. And so is Flare and Ryuma, because Flare has decided that she is not running from the dragon again. She is going to stand by a hero and trying to convince him to run with her, because she doesn't think that he can withstand a dragon's wrath either, since she's lived through it once. So they go running through the streets, trying to find Shirano, which they do, unfortunately. When they find Shirano, they discover that him and D.R., which is actually the character's name, are chilling, having a good old cackle about how they convinced everybody in the town to leave, and they got all the gold and loot from all over the town just piled up with them. They cackling about how this is the second time they done run this scheme, and this has set them up for like another 15, 20 years. So I guess the last one was a good decade's worth of money that they just chilled on, and so whenever they run out of money, they just like, all right, we're gonna go take on a whole nother town. That's wild. But anyway, they do a lot of gloating, a lot of big talk, big talk. And you know what that does? Gets us into Flare reminiscing about how Shirano supposedly saved her, and then kind of getting his input on what actually happened, like the fact that she told him that her parents survived and asked him to go help them. And what did he do? Stabbed them up. Pokey. And instead of going into despair, she's like, I'm not gonna let y'all stand over me. I'm staying here. I'm gonna face this dragon down and just be wiped out with the village. Which for me is like, you kind of went with despair. You just not showing it. But we're not gonna talk about that, because we can all kind of understand where Flair is coming from. Like, that's a lot to have to go through. But then we get into part 4 of the story. And this is the time, and my favorite time, where Ryuma stand on business time. Now, the first person he needs to stand on business with is Shirano, who hasn't been a warrior since the beginning. You bumped scabbards with me. You wasn't really trying to battle for real. You did that fugazi. Oh no, I got my sword closer to you without touching you, so I win because I did it first. And that's not how a duel works. But okay, I'm going to respect homegirl's establishment since she fed me. But now that I know that you on that type of time, you a F-boy, got you. Run them ones with me. And don't say nothing. Not one word. We just running them ones. And oh, that looks like you couldn't run them ones fast enough. Got sliced up real quick and easy. Next is DR, who is now begging for his life, talking about, I'm the only one with the dragon's horn that can control the dragon. It took me 3 years to master that. And you'll need me to stop the dragon and this and that. And Ryuma's like, nope, you're evil. You have to go as well. And bada bing, bada boom, he's out of there. Finally. And of course, last but not least, we all know who's on the chopping block. And I do mean the literal chopping block. It is the dragon. And if you're a One Piece fan, we all know how this goes. Off with his head. And that is all she wrote for the dragon. Dragon falls out of the sky. Ryuma falls out of the sky with no plan on how to land. But that's all right. A little bumped up, a little bruised. But nothing that a little sake, a little food, and a nice walk down the road can't help. And that is exactly what happens. It ends with the villagers coming back and being extremely grateful that Ryuma saved them. But he is not in the village. He is wandering down his path with his bag and his sword, just going on his merry way, because he has no idea that he is actually King Ryuma, the #1 swordsman on the country. Had no idea about that. It just so happened that he earned the title without anybody telling him, so he just goes around doing things, not knowing that he is actually the number one swordsman in the world. I think that's dope as fuck. Oh, excuse me. Dope is, man, that's dope. But yeah. Other than that, there's not too much else to talk about. Like I said, it would have been nice to have more episodes. It would be even nicer if we get some more of Oda's collection, the 4 collection, animated. If you're only going to do one episode, at least give us all 4 of them. So that's 4 episodes that people can enjoy. But like I said, this has been Otaku Don, Tony Melbourne, Sleepy Melbourne in the building. Like, subscribe, comment, share. I'm out of here.